So here we are to finally show to our followers a little bit about what is the new version of the Timex Computer World website. So we announced it many months ago. It took us some time to bring it to a status that we felt was good enough. We had to retake many pictures. We had to add contents and all those kind of things. So what do we have new in this version of the website, João? What do you think we should highlight?
The Severny computers,
Okay, so the Argentina part, yeah.
yes, Argentina. Um, New printer from Timex.
Okay, new printer. Let's see what it is later.
More information of the TC3256.
Yes, because if I remember well, in the old website there was a kind of a, let's say, a mix between the Tenet and the 3256, which was something
Yes,
we only learned afterwards.
yes.
Let me think. Another thing, well, of course, we have some new things, like, for example, prototypes. We were given access, and I'm remembering specifically the fast loading mechanism that Rui Morgado developed. So I think that's one of the new pages we also have on the website.
Yes.
Then,
Some
well, yes.
some interface test interfaces.
Oh yeah, the test interface. Yeah, we're
Okay.
finally launching and releasing the ROMs of the test interfaces. I know I promised this. I think it was to Claudius from Poland, so long ago. So guys, please accept our apologies for the time this took, but we needed to have this as a starting point for everything. João, if you agree, let's go to the website and take a look at what we can find here. Okay.
New stuff.
Okay, so here we are in the museum website. I'm in the Portuguese version. I could be in the English one, is the same. But so scrolling down, eventually we find this section with contents of the museum. And now we have the Timex Computer World here, the link, which is active. So if I press it, it will open a new web page. And this is the new Timex Computer World. So I imagine most people, that at least the ones that follow the museum, know already what is the Timex Computer World website, but just to remember everyone. So we are talking about one of the oldest websites about Timex computing, a website that you started, João, in the beginning of the year 2000. On those years, you remember when you started it? No.
Probably 99.
99. Oh, okay. And so it was a website that aimed at documenting everything that you found out about Timex, mostly Timex Portugal, but not only Timex endeavors in the computing business. I don't remember when, but probably 3 years ago, two or 3 years ago, you approached me and you suggested to revamp the website and do it, but now within the museum. And so it was a very nice gift. And the problem was it was a gift where we still needed your help to update most of the content. So if there's someone that worked a lot to put the contents here, was usual. So thank you all for that. And so that's what we're basically explaining here in this landing page. So we have the name of the website. We have obviously the context of the museum. We have this explanation. Then we have a gallery with lots of images. There's a caption that appears with the images showing this is the mostly people from the Timex engineering team in one of the visits in the museum. You are not on this one, João, but you are here on others, of course. This is them looking at the Tenet. Yeah,
Tenet works.
precisely. So they were looking back at the Tenet after so many years. This is from the work with David Anderson from Timex Sinclair website. So David invited us for the opportunity to interview Danny Ross, vice president of marketing, if I'm not mistaken, from Timex Computer Company in US. So I normally tell people when someone approaches me about things related to Timex, I normally say that there are only two sources of information that I trust. One, and I have to name it first because is ours, is the Timex Computer World website that we are now presenting the new version, and the other one is the work from David. So they have lots and lots and lots of information about what Timex did, mostly focusing on the what happened in US, of course. But the idea is that we now bridge the gap and we try to together to learn more and more and document more and more. And so this was a very nice interview we did to Danny Ross. Um, Here we have Rui Morgado at Lisboa Games Week with André Leão. He was presenting us some of the things they used in the Timex unit in Portugal. Every time we meet Rui, he brings something new to give to the museum. Here is another very interesting session that occurred. This was organized by Rodolfo Guerra from Uruguay, and with the host was Alejandro Ibanez from El Mundo del Spectrum. We also have Luis Bandeiva from Timex here, myself, and Ernesto Uriburu, who is a good friend from Argentina. Many of the computers we have from Argentina in museum, it was due to his help. And then we have Senor Mr. Hugo Mazer, and he's the only founding member of Cerbeni, the company in Argentina that is still alive. And he explained us how he did the deal with the Sinclair and Timex to get the computers in Argentina. So the first models of the so-called Sinclair computers in Argentina with the brand Cerbeni, or Cezerni, like we would say here in Portugal more. They were made by Timex Portugal, the first ones, and then they started doing other models over there. So just some recap of some pictures. This is all of them are from the engineering team. And this was in the fourth meeting of former Timex employees that happened in Casas Velhas in Almada, in close where Timex was. And then after this one was the meeting in the museum, which probably is the next picture. No, not yet. This one is Bibliogamer. So here we have João Encarnado, Rui Morgado, Martinha, Paula Silva, many other people from both the museum team and from Timex team. And so it was when we presented some testimonies that we've been recording of former employees to show in the museum and to preserve for the future. And here we have the official photo from the fifth meeting of Timex Portugal employees in Cantanhede. First time most of them came to the museum. Very special day for all of them and for all of us, I would say. And well, I think it's another milestone in our path. So close to me, of course, there are many people here that I would need to highlight, but close to me. So we have Rosalina Alves here, and I have Renata Gestosa here, which is one of the first 5 employees of the computer business. But many others are in the picture, probably behind. There's at least 1 or 2 more. This one is in Lisboa Games Week last year, 2022. And so it's a presentation we did in the stage. This one is Rosalina and Rui Morgado when they are delivering to the museum, to me, but to the museum, to honor the work of preserving the role of Timex Portugal in the computing area. And so that I will move forward. So we will see that play again. What we were looking at was this, which is the moment where they delivered that celebration plaque. And here is in a guided tour we did in the museum to some of the Timex executives. So moving forward. So this is the gallery of pictures, just to explain this in the beginning for everyone that wants to know more. We explain here the recognition they did to the work of the museum. We explain that we gave the name to a new room we have. We gave the name Rosalina Alves, who is this very nice lady over here next to me. Rosalina was, and the reason we did this was because Rosalina was the most important person to open doors to us to get in touch with everyone at Timex, not only for the computer business, but also for the IBM projects, the Minolta projects, the Ugin Sweden projects, the watches that they manufactured over here. So all of that is very important, and we decided to recognize that importance with the name, which is something symbolic to basically say thank you to everyone that worked at Timex and these companies that contributed to give us a spectrum. This site is about Timex. We always talk about Timex, 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 Timex. Of course, there were other very important companies for the time for the spectrum, let's say, success and revolution in Portugal. In this case, we are talking about a website dedicated to Timex. The reason we have to give more detail about this is because it's the company that made us visible internationally in terms of the spectrum. I imagine everyone knows this already. I can announce that it is filmed, completely filmed already. We are just finalizing the editing, and at any moment it will be delivered the documentary. It's a 1 hour documentary we did about the Timex Portugal untold story. And so it is something that we expect to go air next year in the national TV in Portugal, RTP, that basically hired a partner of ours, Galgo Films, together with the museum to make this amazing work. It was a dream come true to us. So when they challenged us to do this, we said, if you find the partners, we will do it. It's something we have in our bucket list. So I spent a lot of time explaining this, but because this gives the context to everything in the website. So João, now probably handing over a little bit more to you. So we have a menu here with computers, peripherals, software, digital archive, and the capacity to search. So I'm looking at the computers. I don't know if you want to choose anything in particular, but so we have TS1000, TS1500, and didn't exist before. So perhaps if you allow me, I'll press here in the TS 1500. So one thing I've learned in the Timex connection was that there was the plan to build a TS 1500 in a TS 1000 case. We have the schematics. We don't have a working one, but we had this, let's say, prototype
Mock-up.
or whatever, mock-up, yeah. But the computer inside this is a TS 1000. So unfortunately, it's not a TS 1500. But it is something that was given to us by, if I'm not mistaken, this one came from Enrico Susano, which was from the design area. So they were exploring the painting, the silver painting, to protect from radiation and things like that. I think this is one of those models. And so this is one of the things we have here. I don't know if you want to explain this, João. So
It's only comparing the European version with the US version.
yeah, but there's a lot of people that don't know that there was an European version of the TS 1500. So even when I filmed the first episode with David about the TS 1500, I remember that all the computers I had with me, I think all of them were US, or probably the ones that have the Ferranti ULA probably those ones were European. But so we see it from the position of the modulator, and so that's something we are always trying to show in the website. This is something we have in the museum for long, which is a briefcase used by professors in US. I don't know. This one probably you didn't have this in the old website, but you had another one which we still don't have here, which is the 1050, right? The briefcase, the Timex briefcase.
I had this one.
You
I
had
think
this
I had
already?
this one, but it
Okay.
was a lower resolution, and it had the magazines.
Oh, the magazines are not here, but we have them, but they are
Yeah.
hidden. Yes, they're not shown here, but yes. Then the manuals,
The
US
Portuguese
and in
manual.
Portuguese. Yep. And yeah, this is it. So then I just wanted to highlight some of the strange things. So we have the carrier, which is a strange machine, which is basically a TS-1500 with some input-output ports. I think this was something sold in a later phase, but I'm sure David can help us to identify some of
Yes.
these. But so it's a usage of a TS-1500 with some input-output ports to control stuff. And this is from US. And the other thing we have, this is something that only came recently from Timex Portugal, the ASMIC. So want to tell us a little bit about this one, João, in case you know?
I believe this is a machine they put the ASMIC ROM in it. It's easier to program on this keyboard than a TS-1000.
Yes, much more. Okay, they had another one, if I'm not
It is a
mistaken.
machine used by them.
Yeah, in the factory. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we have at least two of these in the museum, similar to this one. Then we have the TS 2068 from USA, where we highlight a part of the computer so people can see information here and then in the submenus, and this happens everywhere. Oh, this is one of the kind of prototypes we have with the
Crystal
crystal
clear.
case, yeah, which was it was part of the, let's say, collection, or it was in the possession of Professor Álvaro Oliveira. It's a computer we were able to buy by luck. We got
By luck.
access to it, and with the help of a friend, Miguel Capel, who gave us the tip about this. So we have information about the TS-2068. Most people will be familiar with it, the one from USA. Then we have Timex ROM, so more technical information here.
Most of this was on the technical documents.
Okay.
Of the old website.
Okay.
Now
Yeah.
it's easier to access.
One thing is true. The old website was very complete in terms of technical information. I have to be honest, if I was starting this from scratch, probably I wouldn't have so much technical information, but then we would need it in a later stage. And since you had it all already, so it was a good thing to use. So all of this is technical information. We have here the comment cartridges. There are, if I'm not mistaken, 11 or something like that. Or 10, it's a number like that. And so we have the information about this because it's specific from the TS 2068 in when it was developed. And then we have the Portuguese computers, the TC 2068, the TC 2048. One thing, here we have a curiosity, which is something very, very recent, which is the NTSC 2048. This one came from Chile. It was from the father of Juan Godoy Lobos, which is a friend from Chile, and we did a swap, an exchange in the museum, and so he offered this one. I'm now saying this just to upset my good friend Mark Klusterman. So as you can see, this is not a sticker. This is really a faceplate saying NTSC. And the fact is that we got access to at least another one. So the faceplates were produced here in Portugal because we got others from other people in Timex Portugal. But of course, this was a small production, I would say. And technically, there's nothing special here, if I remember. It's just the gate array as a pin, a different pin for PAL
50 and
or
60,
NTSC.
50
Yeah, yeah.
and 60 hertz.
Yes, then the crystal and all of that. So this is the 2048. Now, one page where I think we invested a little bit was the simple one about the ZX Spectrum. And here I would like to highlight two or three things. What we're seeing in this picture is the number one computer that came out of the assembly line in Portugal. It was given by Pedro Esteves, one of the former directors. Then we are highlighting the computers that normally were sold in UK, and they had this sticker saying assembled in Portugal. It's not common to see this sticker in Portugal. It may appear, but it's not so common. What is very common in the models sold in Portugal is to have this sticker inside the computer, so close to the expansion bus. So this is very typical. All the computers with this P, with this model, this was assembled in Portugal. And then we have this very strange thing that many years ago people would think it was a prototype. It somehow resembles the TS 2000, the famous TS 2000 that they were planning to US but never happened, and it was the TS 2068 in the end. But this is nothing like that. This is a normal Spectrum with normally it has an issue 2 or issue 3 board, and then a few years later or a few months, I cannot be precise now, they sent this same case to Argentina saying Cerveni CZ 2000, if I'm not mistaken. How many computers of this have you seen already, João?
Maybe 4 or 5.
So I would say we have in the museum something like 5 or 6. I know that I saw. The reason you're not remembering them is because some of them were repaired and they are to be
Oh,
assembled now again. That's why you haven't seen so many. I
I
can
have
even
one.
tell you that there are two variants of this sticker. So this one has a small border, but there is the sticker without the border around this. So we have at least those two. But so what I mean is, I saw at least 12 computers of this already. So it's not something, and I know about many others that we see on the internet, on the sales places. So it's not so uncommon. It's no prototype. The reason it is explained here, but one of the directors told us that there was a problem with the mold of the ZX Spectrum one time, and they did a batch using the mold of the TS 1500, and basically Sinclair didn't care about that because it was to be sold in Portugal. And then we arrived to the probably the most I don't know if it's not the most common, but this is typical Portuguese. Anything you can explain about this one, João?
I don't know where the origin of this. It's a plastic keyboard with plastic keys
That replaced the rubber
that
keys, right?
replace the rubber keys, but it has the membrane also
And I remember when we have in the museum, this could be bought separately from the rest.
separately.
Yeah.
You could upgrade yours.
Yeah, the problem is you upgrade in one way, but then you start losing some keys. So
Especially the space key.
the space, yes, the bigger keys, they're a problem. Okay, then we have Poland, and we talk about
Unipol
Unipol
grid.
Brit, and then we enter specifically on the UK 2086.
This also has some add-ons, new
Yep,
pictures of showing the
the
Centronic
changes.
interface.
Yep, instead of the joystick here. This is funny because the fact they changed the number to 2086 and not 2068. Okay, same like we said in beginning, same for Argentina. So yeah, this is the explanation about the computers in Argentina. Just the first explanation, and then we have here we only have the models that were assembled by Timex. So there is the CZ1000 Plus, the CZ1500 Plus, the CZ2000 Plus. All the pluses we don't have here because they are not made in Portugal. We have the explanation of the plus models here.
Okay.
By the way, this picture that we are seeing is a label, but using a different color than the one that was used. So this was some kind of experiment, and this came from the tool room of Timex Portugal. So Henrique Suzanne had this. He didn't remember much about this, but the fact is that they were playing with what they could do with these labels. So here is the Spectrum, the CZ2000. And here is
The CZ
the CZ
Spectrum.
Spectrum, which is there are two versions. We have two versions. One using a board developed in Argentina, but we also have this computer with a board assembled, a regular Sinclair board, so assembled in Portugal still. So we have both options. And so this covers the Argentina part also. So then we created this area about the Timex 3000 business station that splits in the Timex Terminal 3000, the FDD 3000, the Neptune, and the CPM. So I don't know if everyone knows about this or not, but we are talking about basically this combination which allows people to run CPM. We have one of these systems running in the museum, so we turn it on from time to time. And so this is kind of the ex libris of Timex Portugal. And when we talk about something they try to do for the business area, this is the best example. Perhaps we can add in the future a picture about it running CPM, or probably we have in another section. Let's see. So Timex terminal, we can have two flavors of keys. This is what is explained here. We are also comparing it with a 2068 to check the size. Yeah.
Most people think it's bigger because of the bigger keyboards.
Okay, but it's not.
But it's amazing it's the same size.
Yeah, precisely. And then the FDD we know, the Neptune we know. What do we have in the CPM? We have the disk, and here it is. It's not filmed from our computer, but it's a CPM running in one of these systems. And so this is what we could have, and basically, well, run CPM and use some of the softwares that were available and all of that. It opened an all new world of possibilities. So then something that is very special to us nowadays, the Tenet, which we have lots and lots and lots and lots of information. Now we know that this computer was a Tenet computer that belongs to a Portuguese collector, Henrique Soto. And so this is something that it looks like a 2048, but with two boards. There were other versions. For now, we are not releasing all the information we have because we are doing some research work in the museum about this project, this computer, and so there we will release things later when they are in a stage that we think should be released. Then the mythical computer with 250K of memory. João, do you want to explain a little bit about what this is?
Well, it was going to be the last computer designed by Portugal with 256K of RAM.
Yep.
With Tenet included, serial port included, so a lot of stuff in one computer only for the business market.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Yeah, there
It
were some
seems.
reviews, but this is not vaporware. It seems that there is at least one prototype that we expect to have access in the museum. We have an incomplete one in the museum, so we have the keyboard with some
But
of the electronics. We have the PCB also, without the components. The problem is that this one uses several gate arrays. So if we don't have access to the working prototype, it will be very hard. Although we have some documentation, we don't have enough documentation for now to rebuild it 100% as it was. But let's see what future holds. Before this one, we are looking at the Tenet, then we will consider what can be done with this one. Now, moving forward, we have the peripherals, we have the RAM pack, the cartridge player, the multi-power supply, probably, well, it was already in the old website. It only says, if I remember well your explanation, I think it only says TMX in the PCB. There's
yes,
nothing else saying it's Timex, but the fact is that it's Timex Portugal. We have plenty of those. It gives four different voltages or three different voltages with four connectors. And so the idea was to give power to the printer, to the tape recorder, to a computer, something
yeah.
like that. Um, the briefcase, this is the briefcase from Timex. We are waiting to get one from US to our collection. Joysticks and joystick interfaces, tape recorders. Here, we could highlight two things.
What?
One is the tape recorder, which is less common, which is the digital tape recorder. One that we know the entire story as a new symbol for Timex computers. We know who did it. We know how much they were paid to do it. We have the letter saying pay the guy that did it. So we have all of that. And so this story is documented here. It was already, I have to be very humble and say, it was very hard for me to get the first recorder of these ones. I had the help of Rafael Lanita. It's a recorder that I believe had success or some success in the region, in the Lisbon area. So it was easier to get closer to Timex. I never saw it outside of it. Of course, it should exist. But so it was very hard to get in the beginning. And the reason I learned about this recorder was because of your website, João. Your website was an inspiration, even also for the software, the list of software that was launched or was not launched. So all of those things, the information I got to start collecting was from your website. So thank you for that also. Now we have at least one or two more in the museum, but it's not so common. And then we have this. And this is amazing because we have the documentation, we have the testimony, and we have the device. So this was something developed by Rui Morgado. The case was done in the tool room from Timex, and it was done by Henrique Suzano. It was a fast loading interface kind of thing to improve the quality of the loading of the games. Remember, there were lots and lots of problems to load games, even more in Portugal because of the piracy. So the quality of the recording was not good, and so all of that contributed for us to need to address this. This was presented to Timex USA, but by some reason I don't know which, it was not never launched. But we have also the testimony of Rui Morgado telling this story. Floppy disk systems, I would, if I had to choose one, and of course
Oh,
we
the
have,
Jasmine.
yeah, we of course we have here things from Poland. We have Tosh. João, do we refer here the existence of the two versions of Tosh, or only
I think
8.2?
not, because I only found finally
Recently. Yeah, so
at
we are
least.
in the position now to confirm that there is Tosh version 8.1. We were able to get access to it. It is preserved already, so this is something we will update in the future. But so I would like to stress that. You were saying, and I agree, we could highlight this one. This is something very special to us. So it was explained to us by Luís Bandeira in an interview that they did a batch of floppy disks for the Oric Atmos or Oric One computer, and this is the system called Jasmine. So João Encarnado was the one identifying it should be the system called Jasmine because there are several FDD systems for the Oric. And then we got it. The problem was before buying this one, we bought Jasmine 2, which is not developed by Timex. But Jasmine 1, as we can see here, this was the Oric computers were British, but they were very successful in France. So this is written in French. Fabriqué par TMX Portugal, which means manufactured by Timex Portugal. So it's only two components, not three, like the FDD from the for the Spectrum.
The resemblance of the FTD is not the same. The box is the same, but it does not work the same way.
Okay.
As the Oric allows you to page RAM over ROM,
Okay.
and this is a system that does. It has an operating system. It's called FastDOS.
Oh yeah, the name change. You explained that here. I remember reading this TDOS.
TDOS, I
Okay.
believe it was like Timex DOS, but they then changed it to FTDOS. I
FTDOS.
think
Okay.
it was FTDOS. Um,
Yes.
it's not the same as an FDD. It's not a computer connected to another
Okay.
computer. It's
Oh
more
well.
a dummy interface with a disk drive.
This follows a strategy that Timex Portugal did with the FDD, which was to have a very standard interface to interact with the FDD system, and so that's something that facilitated their work then to adapt these to other solutions. I remember Wish Bandeira telling me that they were thinking about developing FDDs for Commodore and other things, but never happened. But it was something they were considering to do. Then you spoke about the printers. I'll do an exercise here, which is to use the search also to show everyone. So if we search for 3080, we get a record here. Perhaps we can go there. So João, what is this?
This is something you have not even seen.
Yeah, I don't have it in the museum yet. It's with you.
So this is a Seikosher 1200
AS, from what you
AS,
describe here. Yeah.
the serial printer. Um, there are two of them. This one has had problems with the head. It works. I got a head from the other printer and changed it. It started to print.
Okay.
And it works. I've been tested. It's faster than the 2080.
Okay.
It's fun to
And
print.
it was going to be used with the 3256, right? That was the idea.
I believe they were going to sell it with the FTD 3000, with the Terminal
Okay.
3000.
Okay.
It was a
Yeah,
faster printer.
it's
The other,
following
the
that
other
idea of the computers from Series 3.
is 3000.
Yeah. Okay, what else? So of course we have the 2080. For us it's nothing, let's say, special. For most people they don't know it, but again it's another Seikoshi. It's a 1000 AS. We have both of them here to show also. And so this is something that existed in the old days. I remember I was given one in the 90s. It works as an Epson FX80. I remember I configured it in
Yes.
my PC. So I used it connected to a PC to print listings of code when I was in university. But it's a printer that was thought for the ZX Spectrum and the
Yes,
Timex computers.
you can use the Epson S codes from BASIC.
Okay. Then we have the modem. And if someone is curious about the existence of the Timex Sinclair labeled modem, this is a Westridge modem, but there were, and we have two in the museum with this label. They are very uncommon. One came from Lou Gailey in US, and he gave it to Bruno Florin, which is a very good friend of the museum, another Portuguese guy. And the other one we have came from Álvaro Oliveira, so we have those two. So that means the only ones that we've ever seen came from executives at Timex Group. And then because they didn't launch it when Timex USA unfolded, Timex Computer Corporation, when they withdrew from the computer business, then Westridge launched it as the Westridge 2050, and that's the one that is more known. The other thing I saw here was the Tenet, but in the interface version. So this is another version of the Tenet system, but now in an interface that you could plug to another computer. And this is related to that Tenet project. So you can research more information here whenever you access the website. Others and prototypes. So we have information about the famous BU. I'm sure there's a lot of work being done right now in terms of researching in US about this. So I'm sure in the future there will be more information. We have the micro drives that were part of that concept, a printer which was never launched but was the TS 2080, and the RAM packs, but these stranger ones. I think David has this, if I'm not mistaken. Now, if I search for the test interfaces, what we have? Test interfaces, some other things. Let's go here. So this is the test interface that we have for the TS1000. Then we have we have more now, but we have here photos of two interfaces, one for the 48K and one for the Timex 2048. So it also tests the joystick port and things like that. So it runs a software developed by a Portuguese guy. And so this is what they used in the factory, in the unit to validate the computers that were assembled. And so this is another thing we didn't have in the old website. And then we go to the software, and here we describe all software that was developed for these computers. Of course, most of the software is for the American computers, so that's why we have much more here in the TS1000 and TS2068. So I remember there's lots and lots of software here. And the cartridges, we have all of them. The rest, we don't have everything in the museum, but more than half we do. And then we have some software from Portugal. Timex Basic 64, for example, uses the high resolution modes. Very well. Now, the final part, and the final part is the digital archive. I think the digital archive is the one that needs some explanation, but in the future, it's the place where we'll put everything that we release in terms of documents and software and all of that. And that's why this website was so important for us in the museum. This was the beginning of everything in terms of where do we release stuff. So what do we have here? This is basically a subset of the digital archive of the museum, but it's a subset focusing in the Timex computer world. So we have here some ROMs and some software, starting with the ROMs. So there are already 50 items here. So we have cartridges, computers, FDD, others, test interfaces. João, do you want to highlight something?
Test interfaces.
Okay. So if people come here, you'll have access to files that you can download with the test interfaces that we made available from the EPROMs that were inside them and that we preserved. So these are things that people can come here and download. Then going back, for example, computers. Oh, it's the ROMs from the several computers. We have two versions here of the UK 2086. We need to check. It's two versions,
the
or
home
is the
ROM
two...
and the SX ROM.
Okay. But it's okay. It's only in one set, or else we could try to see if we could have access to others. Finally, the cartridges is the preservation of the Timex USA card. No, it's the Portuguese ones. Yes.
Portuguese.
Yes. So Time Word version
Time Word
1, 1.1, 1.1 with some variant, and 1.2. Remember that probably we have access here to some middle versions, or intermediary versions, preliminary versions, beta, whatever we want to call. And so that's why we have more than one version for the 1.1, and we have the 1.2, and this is the emulator for the
for the
2086.
Unipolrit.
Very well. Going back, we have software, and in software we'll have many new things. So how is this organized, João, this part?
Tapes for different computers.
Okay.
And discs.
Okay. What would you highlight here? So the tapes we're talking about always about Portuguese software?
Yes.
Okay. So we have the Basic 64 demo tape, demonstração, which means demo in Portuguese, for 2048. We have two with the same name. We need to check what is the difference afterwards.
There are different versions.
Okay, I'm opening both. So we have the files in TZX. In the future, I hope to be able to have an emulator running with a button here where we just say start. Of course, I'm dreaming a little bit, but that would be something I would like to accomplish. And so, okay, this is the two versions that we have of this. If I go back again, then let's go for the FDD, because I think that's where probably the most new things are. So we have CPM, TOS CPM emulator, TOS demo disk, empty disk. Why do we have? Oh, TOS empty disk. So it's just the operating
disk
system.
empty, yes.
Okay. Orives, we'll talk about that. Then we have zigzag, but in disk. I don't remember seeing zigzag in a disk. Is this normal?
Zigzag was, let me see.
Was the competition, yes. Zigzag was a program in the national TV.
The FDD was used. They didn't load the games from tape. They loaded them from disk.
Okay, but this
so
the content
tried to recreate the disks with the games.
But this was a recreation by us, is it?
Yes.
Okay. Probably in the future we'll need to have some text file with each thing to help us to explain what it is.
Like a README.
Yeah. Another problem I'm seeing now is that, well, we can understand this is side A and side B of the same thing, because the letter is not capital letter. But probably we can also put this in folders and make it easier to understand what is the things. Okay, I left to the end one, which is very special to us, which is the Orives. Orives means how do you say this? The individual that sells gold. Jewelry, yeah, probably. So we presented this software. So we have to remember that Timex was a watch manufacturer company. It's still a watch manufacturer company. And Timex started by selling computers, sometimes even to people that sold jewelry and watches, because that was their normal channel of sales. So it's not strange that they developed a software for their computers to help to manage a small or to help to manage a jewelry place. And that software is called Orives in Portuguese. Last June, in an event we did in Portugal, João demonstrated the software that he was able to preserve, the Orives software. And so this is something very special to us, because it was kind of getting mythical. Everyone spoke about this, but we never saw it until we found a disc with it, and now it is preserved. It's a kind of a in IT, we say it's a CRUD: create, retrieve, update, delete. So the kind of typical operations that you insert data from a typical database. So it's to help you to manage a jewelry place. João, let me challenge you, make you a question on one thing. Shouldn't we have something here from the barcode reader? Because that's
Mm,
another thing we demonstrated. I don't know if the software that it uses some software, right?
it uses software, but it doesn't need a disk. It can be
Okay.
loaded from tape,
But so we
but
should,
it can be added.
yeah, we should preserve that. And I know it's preserved, but we should probably release it here. So I think this gives a good, well, not a very small summary. We explain it in detail. But if anyone wants a guided tour about the new Timex Computer World website, this is it. We are going to shut down the old website and redirect to the new one. It's a very important moment to us because it took us many months, but we are finally fulfilling a promise we made and something we wanted, and now it's a matter of keeping it alive, which means one of the next things, but we need time to do that one, is to work on the other website we announced some time ago called Sinclair World, which is different, but it's more visual to show objects developed by Sinclair, and there are a few that probably people don't know, and all of that will be based on the objects we have on display in the museum or in the collection of the museum. So that's another thing we want to do in 2024. Yeah, one thing we need to discuss also with David is, of course, David website has a lot of information that in some things is more detailed than ours. For example, he goes much deeper in terms of what was Timex Computer Corporation and all that, which is normal. It was something happening in US. When we were preparing this, I remember reading it, and I even got some inspiration. I think it was in this page about computers. Yeah, I got some inspiration also on his website, and I linked the website here, inviting people to visit it also. And so we don't want to replace in any way the work that David is doing. We probably just need to find points of connectivity where we can link the things and make them work together, because the objective, I think it's the same for everyone, which is to provide as much information as possible, and information that we try to validate and support on evidences and on the things that we keep learning every day. So I think we can stay we can stop here. So thank you for your time, João. Thank you for the donation of the website. Thank you for the amazing work on putting contents here. And we won't stop here. We will keep updating it from now on. So thank you everyone for watching. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so. Leave us a comment if you want with questions or suggestions or whatever. Leave the like if you like the video and share with your friends. We are doing the effort of, it's not an effort, but we are doing even this video in English because we realize, we agree that there is a huge international fan base of Timex computers and Spectrum that don't speak Portuguese. So that's why the website is in English. That's why we are talking this video in English. We are not changing anything in the rest of the museum. It's a matter of always evaluating what's better for the target audience. And in this case, we believe this was the right choice to do. Um,